Welcome back to another video. So it's been a little while since I've posted one, to be honest. With it being off season, I've kind of been relaxed. In the background of this video, you're going to see a lot of the off season fights that I've done so far. Obviously, as we know, Kabam have extended the off season, but I'm probably not going to be doing any videos, at least for another week or so, just because I'm going away. So I thought I'd just do one now. Basically, I'm just going to do a quick talk about my opinions on Alliance War, Alliance Quest, the arena, the objectives, the events, and just give you a general state of the game, in my opinion. So yeah, first off, I guess I'll go into Alliance War. So myself, coming obviously off the back of winning season 30, getting the War Champs. It was a good season, great season. High ground was very annoying for a lot of people. A lot of people in the quote-unquote top, so Master or above alliances, were asking where there's going to be less pressure in Alliance War. And for a lot of cases, high ground did seem to add some deaths that was just the case if you couldn't really do anything about it. So a few times, say a very tough defender for most people within the season was to fight an Iron Man Infinity War on the Rage mini-boss, for example. If he gets too many high grounds, then you're in trouble because you're always trying to reparry and just hope he actually give it into you. And then the last 15%, unless you had True Strike or anything like that, you can't attack him anyway. So defenders like that became a little bit of a problem. Then there was obviously the leaderboard issue towards the end, where sadly for Kabam, it messed up and it still took War 10 into account for some reason when it shouldn't have. So again, it was great for us, so I can only be happy about the way that season ended from a very selfish point of view, but I understand for a lot of people it probably wasn't the way it was and they wanted it to be, but it's just the way sadly it all worked out. In terms of going into season 31, so the main points that everybody's already spoke about or seen is about the attacker bans. So each alliance can, in tier 5 or above, I believe that is only, so obviously 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The only choices you have is you have to pick 3 champions that the opposition alliance won't be able to use an attack. I think every single off-season war so far that we've seen has banned Human Torch. So Human Torch, the pre-fights won't be available. Quake won't be available for high ground. So there'll be a few different fights that now have to look into a lot of different options. Obviously there is other attackers and champions that people will ban too, but Human Torch just seems to be the main one that we've seen so far. Yeah, I do think this will cause a few more deaths, just because of there won't be maybe the now perfect matchups that you could have had before, because the people will specifically be banning the quote-unquote best or perfect matchups to some of the most difficult defenders to make them a little bit more annoying. But that's the point of it. It just probably will, like I said, just add up the amount of deaths. But Kabam do currently still keep giving out compensation packages, so everybody should be full on the silver, grey war boosts. They should be pretty high on the potions and revives. And when it comes to going into the next season, everybody fully stocked. I think for the most part, especially for people pushing the top 3, maybe people pushing the top 10 included, they'll still try to aim to be around 5 deaths or less as an alliance. And I just don't think, for the vast majority of it, people, especially if they're not really that fussed, it's probably not worth the stress. I know last season I boosted a lot heavier than what I did, just because there was the best chance of us getting War Champions since either season 26 or 27. I can't remember where we ended up finishing second in the end. And it was basically just for that chance to get War Champions. So I don't really ever want to be boosting that hard or that heavy again, just because it costs a lot and I'm not really that bothered. I don't really ever spend money on the game. I treated myself to the sigil because it's Christmas, But apart from that, I don't really ever put much money into the game at all. So all of my units and that I get, and I've always had, and everybody's always said to me about my units, I've always got from doing the arena. But that's just something that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. So again, Season 31, general overview of Alliance War is that for some people, they wanted it to be more deaths so there was less stress. I do think high ground with attacker bans is going to cause that to happen, but the less stressful side of it I doubt will actually come of it, because more people will get more agitated that they're dying. But again, that's just my opinion. If people have different opinions, then obviously they can leave it into the comments. I'm always happy to hear people's opinions and thoughts. So coming away from Alliance War now, we're going to go into Alliance Quest. So map 8's been out for probably a good 3 or 4 cycles now. I think it's very, very good for energy. People can move together, especially in section 1. You can basically have 2 or 3 backup people that can just help the outside paths, even if it's just with energy, so that you can get through it quicker. That's good. Section 2 is the only section, I believe, where there is all 10 paths that everybody needs to pick a path each. And then section 3 again, you also have backups again. The same as any Alliance Quest map, especially when like map 7 was released, exactly in the same way. If you've got champions ranked up, you're relatively skilled, and that's just a generic sort of comment, and you've got the time and the patience for it, and you want to buy the tickets, then yeah, map 8 is great. There's no way around it. It's probably the best AQ map that I've done, probably since doing like map 5 or map 6, where there was backups in most sections and you could kind of blitz through it. But yeah, overall it's nice. I haven't opened any of the map 8 crystals yet, so I don't know how good the drop rates is on them. I can't say I've really looked at other people's videos when they've been opening the crystals either. But you get a bit more tier 5 basic, you get a little bit more tier 2 alpha, and you get just generally better rewards, so it depends on what people want. Map 7 was a little bit more annoying in my opinion. There was a lot more niche fights that you really needed counters for. Whereas this one you can kind of get away with using a couple of different champions for different paths. You just need to have one of the 2 or 3 champions to use. And again, Kabam giving out the compensation packages at the moment. Most people have a good amount of the revives or the potions that they're just happy to use or just stock up with. So I haven't heard many people moaning about map 8. The main problem that people have moaned about, and I'm honest, I do agree, it's just how passive the AI is. I've had it before because I currently do encroaching stun in section 3. Even with using, say, Magneto, which I currently use Red Magneto on it, I've had it where I've managed to be stunned twice in encroaching stun timers before they've even thrown a special, just because the AI is that passive. So that's the only thing that really, in my opinion, needs sorting out for map 8. It's just the AI to be changed just slightly, so that it means that people won't have to deal with the stress of a really passive AI. Some of the mini bosses and that are barely getting soloed at the moment because of the fact that either we don't have enough time, or the AI just don't give you enough chance to be able to actually kill them, because they're just sitting there holding the block all the time. I think it was a couple of years ago that Seaton made a short video where he was talking about, I think it was map 5 or maybe map 6 that had just been released at the time maybe, how the AI just kind of sat there after an update and it just constantly hold block. And that's pretty much what map 8 is doing now. So hopefully just give it a few more cycles and they'll come good. But yeah, apart from that, the other things to talk about is just like the events and the objectives, and I guess the arena too. It's a very sore point for a lot of people. A lot of people choose not to do or want to do the arena. I do it just to make sure that I've got units in case something pops up that I decide that I need or I want. And yeah, so I always like to have enough to at least cover the two major spending events, which is the July the 4th and then Cyber Weekend. Obviously it's Christmas and the gifting events coming up as well right now that we know of. So I think the next couple of days from this video, it may even be the day, I can't exactly remember. But I don't even have 10k units yet. And I like to make sure I have enough to be able to spend. But normally within the gifting cycle, you do get given quite a few units from Kabam, to be fair. But the arena just, again, it takes a while, unless you're running suicides, as everybody says, it takes a while, and that's fair enough. I understand why it takes a while. It's frustrating, but I do understand it because at the end of the day, Kabam's a business. They need to make money. If you're not doing the arena and you want some units, you're probably going to end up buying them, and that then gives them more money. The main time that people do the arena, and again, I completely understand why people get so excited about it, is if they're going for a certain champion. So the 6-star feature champion going for 170 million, for example. Unless you have a very, very diverse roster and you can make sure that you've got everything perfectly timed in terms of your sleeping schedule to get the most out of all your champions, and you've got 100 and whatever 4 stars max rank to carry your points, and you've got 50 plus 5 stars or whatever, then it's not really going to help you be able to do the grinds unless you then spend units on refreshes. So again, you're then spending more units. But that's kind of the way it works, and that's part of the reason why it is what it is. So I do understand. I don't really think there's much of a way that Kabam can sort of change the arena in terms of, well, my knowledge of anything that goes off, like programming that wise, in terms of making it easier. Maybe just make it so you don't have to click so many buttons in between each screen or whatever. I don't know. I turned off the beta settings in the settings because of the extra loading screen that came up between fights. It just added so much time on. Just wasn't bothered about that enough to actually get it. Obviously the special free skip, that would have been quite nice to have. Sadly there was the bug when it was released, so who knows, hopefully it won't be long, but who knows when we'll get that back. And yeah, so the arena is always a sore subject with people because there's a lot of people that don't do it, don't want to do it, don't have the time to do it, don't care enough to do it. But at the end of the day, people want to be able to have units to be able to spend on and buy things with, and again, that's understandable too. So it's finding that balance for everybody and just getting it right. I think content-wise so far, 7.3 was obviously the latest thing that was released. I did think it was generally quite good. A few of the paradox lanes were very, very annoying, but one or two of them was my fault because I still had a mastery on that I probably should have taken off, and it involved debuffs through the paradox lane. But it still didn't take many, I don't think it was many, there was definitely some used, but resources, revives, items at all to just go through the whole thing. So it's good and it's bad. I do think that a lot of people, especially in the top level again, are looking for more Abyss of Legends or anything like that content to come up and be more end game. Yeah, I kind of agree, because said now I've kind of got war champ sort of thing. In my mind, I'm like, right, apart from grinding for an arena champion, I've kind of done everything in the game that I wanted to. And now I'm like, right, I need to just figure out what I want to do next. To which an arena grind is a no-go. I don't want to do that. I'll do the milestones, but that's about it. The solo competitive, a lot of people are getting excited for that, but I'm just a bit like, I'll get hyped and I'll believe it when I see it and when it actually comes out and it happens. And I don't want to be like that. It's just kind of the way that the game sometimes makes you feel, in terms of sometimes you can want something from the game so badly it gets released and it's just not quite what you're expecting, and then people change it up again. So yeah, it's an interesting thing, but let's wait until it actually comes out before we get excited about it. That's all the war footage in the background. Again, thank you for everybody that subscribed, especially recently. The channel's got a lot more subscribers recently. Yeah, hope everyone has a great Christmas and New Year, and thank you very much for watching.